At exactly 3:42 a.m. on the 21st of July 2025, in the deep blackness of the pre-dawn sky, a new chapter in modern warfare was being written. From a covert, hastily prepared launch site hidden within the dense forests near Sumy, Ukraine, three small, unassuming aircraft lifted into the air. Their destination, Marinovka Airbase, a strategic fortress, a critical nerve center for Russia's long-range air operations, and a location long considered untouchable by Russian high command. What happened in the next 3 minutes would not only cripple Russia's eastern air operations for weeks, but would send a shockwave through the Kremlin. It would be a brutal lesson delivered at hypersonic speed, exposing just how vulnerable their billion-dollar arsenal truly is to a new generation of warfare. These were not multi-million-dollar military jets. They were improvised, purpose-built suicide drones, each costing under $30,000 to manufacture. Born from a marriage of battlefield necessity and Kyiv's burgeoning tech scene, the Drone 12B wasn't designed to survive. It was designed to do one thing: hit. Its composite body gave it a minimal radar cross-section. Its engine was quiet enough to be lost in the background noise of the night, but its brain was its deadliest weapon, a sophisticated software suite that allowed it to fly low, avoid detection, and in its final moments make its own decisions. Their path was a masterpiece of electronic deception and audacious planning. A 430-kilometer trek deep into hostile airspace, meticulously plotted to exploit known weaknesses in Russian air defense. The drones flew through radar blind spots created by the curvature of the Earth, slipped under established civilian flight corridors to mask their electronic signature, and hugged the terrain and shifting weather patterns to remain invisible. For weeks, Ukrainian intelligence had monitored Marinovka. The signals were unmistakable. A surge in encrypted communications, satellite imagery showing increased activity around maintenance bays, and the arrival of fresh munitions. Russia was preparing its forward base for a new devastating Su-34 bomber offensive. On the tarmac sat at least 10 Sukhoi Su-34 fullback fighter bombers, being fueled and armed with Kab-500 laser-guided munitions. Each Su-34 bomber cost the Russian Federation over $50 million. Each Kab-500 bomb has the power to flatten entire city blocks. Ukrainian command knew these weapons were being prepared for cities like Kharkiv and Zaporizhia. They were not going to wait for the air raid sirens to sound. At 4:17 a.m., after more than an hour of silent flight, the three drones initiated their final attack sequence. They broke formation, shifting into a deadly spearhead pattern. Drone 1, the leader, would continue straight, acting as the recon element to confirm targets and paint a picture of the base. Drone 2 and Drone 3 flanked wide, creating a three-pronged threat designed to confuse any last-minute radar detection and overwhelm any potential response. Russia's primary low-altitude radar, the Podlet K-1 system, was blind. The drones flew beneath its minimum scan angle, masked by the dense tree canopy surrounding the base, the natural thermal noise from the ground, and a light layer of dawn fog. For 90 critical seconds, the drones were ghosts. That was all the time they needed. Drone 1 locked onto Hangar 2, a priority target confirmed by intelligence. Inside, the Su-34 designated Red 31 had just completed its final pre-flight preparations. At 120 meters out, traveling at over 150 kilometers per hour, the drone's shaped charge was armed. The warhead was designed not for a wide blast, but for penetration. Upon impact, it unleashed a hyper-focused jet of molten metal moving at over 8,000 meters per second. It punched through the hangar's steel roof, collapsing the central support axis in under 2 seconds. The freshly fueled bomber inside was engulfed in a firestorm. The target was gone. Seconds later, Drone 2, approaching from the west, skimmed just above the treetops. Its target, a fully armed Su-34 parked in the open with 2 live KAB-500s mounted on its wings. The drone didn't aim for the cockpit or the fuselage. It struck the most volatile point, the junction between the wing and the bomb pylon. The drone's small explosion acted as the trigger for a much larger one. The first KAB-500 cooked off, followed milliseconds later by the second. The result was a cataclysmic chain explosion that left a 70-meter fireball buckling the tarmac and sending a shower of burning debris raining down for minutes. Drone 3, approaching from the east, had lost visual on its original target, a third bomber now completely obscured by smoke and fire. For a human pilot, the mission would have been aborted. But for the drone, it was a simple calculation. In 1.7 seconds, its onboard AI processed the sensor data, concluded the primary attack route was no longer viable, and automatically rerouted to its secondary objective, a hardened bomb storage bunker located just behind the burning hangars. By this point, Russian electronic warfare units had finally woken up, jamming all GPS signals in the area. But it was too late. The drone was no longer relying on satellites. Its image recognition system had already locked on to the bunker's geometric shape. It dove at a steep 30-degree angle, aiming for a known structural weak point where the corrugated roof met the load-bearing concrete wall. The depot housed over 40 FAB-250 general-purpose bombs. When it went up, it didn't just explode. It detonated in a devastating cascading chain reaction. The entire southern section of the airbase was erased from the map. The blast was so immense that commercial satellites hundreds of kilometers up registered the thermal signature through multiple layers of cloud from orbit. In less than 3 minutes, from the first impact to the final catastrophic detonation, 3 low-cost drones had inflicted an estimated $200 million in direct damages. 2 Su-34s were completely destroyed. 2 more were critically damaged by shrapnel and the blast wave. The entire western technical zone of the airbase was a molten, smoking ruin. The strategic impact was immediate and profound. With Marinovka's maintenance and munitions hub neutralized, Russia's ability to conduct precision bombing operations over the key fronts of Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kharkiv was effectively halted. The disruption bought Ukrainian forces over 2 precious weeks to reinforce their positions, free from the threat of guided bombs. The attack created panic within the Russian high command. In a move that revealed the depth of their fear, they issued an emergency order to redeploy advanced Pantsir air defense systems, not to the front lines, but to protect their own deep rear bases. The hunters had suddenly become the hunted. This is the new face of war. What started as hobbyists strapping grenades to first-person view drones has evolved into a sophisticated doctrine of AI-guided, radar-dodging, precision strike platforms. For less than the cost of a single Russian missile, Ukraine had once again changed the entire war map. The real question now isn't if another strike will happen. It's how many more Marinovkas are there out there waiting in the darkness to burn.